So as much as many fans may want it, I don't think we're going to ever see anything like Andor ever again in Star Wars. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel today. This is The Force Fandom, and my name is Jeremy. I'm glad you're here. This is a channel for regular fans who love Star Wars, and today we're going to be looking at a Gizmodo article that is looking at some of the things that Tony Gilroy has said about the making of Andor Season 1 and 2, and really the real reason why I don't think we're ever going to see this again. So here it is. It says Andor wouldn't have happened in a world without Baby Yoda. Without Mandalorian, Andor never happens. And I think it's never going to happen again like this, and you'll see what I mean in the article here. It says, in an interview with Empire Magazine ahead of the premiere of Andor Season 2, Tony Gilroy discussed why he believes shows like theirs will never happen again. Thanks to The Mandalorian's success, there was a shift with Lucasfilm to go all in on a risk with long-form storytelling, as well as being the push that allowed Star Wars canon to open up in ways that aren't as feasible in this current era of television. What this is really going to talk about is I think that it almost even doesn't matter how good Andor Season 2 does. I think that it could be the most watched thing in the history of Disney Plus, and I don't think it's going to change what has been done here with Andor Season 1 and Andor Season 2. In fact, actually, right now, Andor Season 1 is the most watched thing on Disney Plus, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Look what Gilroy continues. He says, no one's ever going to start a show on this scale again and shoot it practically. That was a big thing, right? They're not just using the volume. They're actually on sets that were built and made, and you can notice and see the difference. It's so much better. And have all the resources and the protection to do something like this, Gilroy said. We were protected all the way down the line. And yes, Kathleen Kennedy was leading the charge on championing the Andor at Disney. That line just doesn't make Andor, not the Andor. I think this is maybe one of the only things that I agree with Kathleen Kennedy about. We'll see. Kathy protected us. Lucasfilm protected us. Bob Iger protected us. The audience protected us. The Mandalorian protected us. We had all these people out there backing our play, he explained. The success of The Mandalorian gave us the platform to jump off. That's a huge point. And I think that every Disney show, every Disney Plus show that's been made post-Mandalorian, I think would make the same thing. They took chances on all kinds of things, mainly because Mandalorian was the success that they had hoped everything else would be. Their success is what would fuel the whole thing. I mean, no Baby Yoda, no Andor. Seriously, don't think that we don't know that. He went on to celebrate the collaborators who paved the way with, yes, the cutest little green companion formerly known as Baby Yoda, now Grogu, who, fact of the matter, is the moneymaker for a wider audience. Though I don't think it's going to be the moneymaker they hope at the box office. That's a different conversation. In order to belong to many, Star Wars has to belong to all in order for the sections of the fandom to get more of what they want. I think fan service is part of the problem instead of just writing good shows. We'll see. I don't know that I fully agree. I think you can do good shows that maybe not everyone loves, but can be for everyone. Skeleton Crew, I think, could have been for everyone, but they played it maybe a little too kiddie, and it maybe needed a little bit more in the other direction. Online, people try to drive a wedge all the time between us and Favreau and Filoni, Gilroy said, calling out how the toxic part of the Star Wars... Well, hold on a second. Like, he's not calling out the toxic part of the fan base that tends to come out very loudly against what they don't want to support. Instead, what he's saying is, yes, there's people that are trying to say that we're divided and we're not. But the problem is, it appears that Favreau and Filoni, at times, like when we look at The Acolyte and Filoni's role in that, I think it's well to question that. I think Favreau, it's okay to question what was he doing with Boba Fett. I think there are some realistic questions. Yes, there are some toxic fans, but when you say it this way, it just makes it same thing with the whole John Boyega stuff. I didn't cover it here on the channel. I just wasn't that interested in talking about it. But anyway, It's horrible what people say. It's terrible. And the truth is, we don't have a show without them. They gave us the muscle to go. Here's my main takeaway. First off, I think there are some things that we have to give credit where credit is due. The fact that Kathleen Kennedy has been a proponent of Andor. Now, was that on the lead up? Was that after the fact? Was that during? Just give the benefit of the doubt. I'm not a Kathleen Kennedy fan. I'm not a sequels fan. And there have been many ways that I have thought that she has made horrible choices for Star Wars, including Filoni. I think when Ahsoka season 1 came out, I became less of a Dave fan because I thought of some of the things he did in animation were great and it didn't translate into live action. But with all that being said, if they have really been giving the support to Andor that it needs and playing like the lead blocker to keep things the way they are, then I have to say, good job, well done, thank you. But I don't think that's why we're never going to see something like Andor again. I think early on in these quotes, we heard it from Gilroy. They're never going to spend the money. They're never going to spend the money on practical sets, on the things and the quality that we've seen in Andor that we didn't see in other things. They're never going to spend the money on a streaming show like this again. Because Disney Plus is not the streaming platform that Netflix is. Because Disney Plus is never going to be a money generator the way that Netflix is. It's the reality that they are now living in. And so the cutting back of everything, we are not going to see long form storytelling. We're not. And as Star Wars fans, we have to wrestle with that and come to grips with that and say, okay, now just give us freaking great movies. Put the money and the effort and the practicals into the movies. I have great worry and concern about the directions they've chosen with the upcoming movies. I don't think Mandalorian Grogu is going to be a good movie. I think it's going to just be an attempt at money grab with their most popular thing, which is Grogu, and I don't think it's going to work. The leaks and things that we've heard about the story just seems blah. It feels like it's not really that well thought out, and maybe I'm wrong. But even if Andor Season 2 is as good as it looks, I think we're just going to have to enjoy what we have because we're not going to see more of this. And there's some that are going to say, hey, I didn't love Andor. I didn't like, fine, that's fine. But you cannot deny, even if you didn't like Andor, you cannot deny the way that it looks on screen, on your television, on your device is phenomenal. And so this is a net loss because that means we're not going to get these types of things again. It means that Star Wars is not going to get practical, long-form storytelling the way that I think we could. And I think Gilroy's right. He knows. He knows behind the scenes the challenge for every dollar spent they probably had to fight for. And unfortunately, Baby Yoda's success and probably failure, I think, at the box office coming up is going to seal the fate for a lot of these things and projects that haven't even really been announced because we don't even know what's happening after Ahsoka Season 2. We don't really know. We're not sure what movies are next. There's all kinds of conversations back and forth. We don't know because I don't think they actually know. And it all comes back to money. I don't think they're going to make enough to make it make sense, and that's a shame. But I don't think it's due to lack of the quality of the product. It has to do with streaming and the fact that streaming just is not as profitable as people bet on it being back coming out of the pandemic when everyone and their mother was getting a streaming service in 2 and 3 and 4 because we had nothing else we could do. And so they put all their eggs in that basket and realizing that streaming is not the golden goose they thought it would be. Let me know what you think down below, or if you have something you would love me to talk about that I have not hit. If you want to hear my thoughts on the John Boyega stuff, let me know down below, or even some of the newest leaks and stuff talked about from Josh from Den of Nerds. He talked about some things in Andor Season 2 that have been a little bit troubling. If you want to hear those things, let me know in the comments. Guys, thanks so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Remember, the Force will be with you always.